then we will continue with our class. Sometimes ago, I was in a class and I asked someone, I said, what is fire? The person was actually absent-minded in my class. And I asked the person, what is fire? And the person said, fire is eno. I said, what is eno? He said, eno is fire. And that was in one state in Nigeria, Nasra State to be precise. Then another day, I was in another training in Kwara State. And I asked somebody in my class, I said, what is fire? The person said, fire is eno. I said, what is eno again? He said, eno is fire. So I now started asking, so what is eno? They say eno means fire in Yoruba. So one of the days I was in another class in Niger State. So I asked someone in my class, I said, what is fire? He said, fire is water. I said, what is water? He said, water is fire. So I now started asking again, what is the meaning of water? They say water means fire in Hausa. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. So dependent on what you call it in your own area. So if I ask what is fire, you already know what it is. But fire is a big hazard. Okay. All right, so we are going to go through the video and just a moment, let me put up the...
For hundreds of years, fire has been used as a means of improving our livestock. We use it to change the shape of metal, turn a solid into a liquid, and a liquid into a gas.
Please, if you can see the video, can you please type 1 in the chat room? You can see the video. Kindly type 1 in the chat room. You can see the video. Please kindly type 1 in the chat room. All right. Now I'm going to play the video. If you can hear the audio of the video, please, I need you to type 2 in the chat room. If you can hear the audio.
For hundreds of years, fire has been used as a means of improving our livestock. We use it to change the shape of metal, turn a solid into a liquid, and a liquid into a gas. We use it as a source of light, heat, and energy. But fire can also be the source of destruction, injuries, and fatalities. Hazard than others. Those that need extremely high temperatures to burn are safer in terms of fire risk. The substances that will burn or explode at very low temperatures are a much greater fire risk. There are 3 essential ingredients needed to generate a fire. First, there needs to be a fuel or a substance to burn.
Okay, there was some information I'm getting in the chat room that the audio is static,
If
and
you want to add killer animation,
the audio is static, and sorry, the audio is not good. So for the sake of that, I will just get the clip and then share it on the chat room so that we can go through it on our own time. I'm going to get the link to that and then share it for us to see. Okay, so this is the link to the video. Kindly feel free to watch it at your own time. I've posted it in the chat room, and I think that will help. So let's go through the video in our own time, and then get to understand more about fire. Okay, so I'm stopping the video, and I'm back to my own slide, which is basic fire safety awareness. Please, if you can see the screen again, basic fire safety, please kindly help me indicate with a 1-1 in the chat room. You can see the screen on basic fire safety. Please kindly indicate with a 1-1 in the chat room. If you can see the screen on basic fire safety, please kindly indicate with a 1-1 in the chat room. All right, thank you so much. So what is fire? Is fire hazardous? Does fire have any effect on us? Does it have good sides? Does it have negative sides? How can we manage fire? Should there be an outbreak of fire? And all of that. So that's all we are going to be considering in this class, this moment. So we're going to be looking at the lesson objectives, which will cover the theory of combustion, transmission of heat, causes of fire, classification of fire, methods of fire extinction, fire prevention, emergency response, and evacuation procedures for fire accident, the fire considerations, how to use fire extinguisher, practical firefighting. So let's look at all of this. And the objective of this class, we are going to be looking at to highlight the fundamentals of firefighting using the various items of firefighting equipment to be found in the workplace so that personnel on spot will be able to deal effectively with an outbreak. Points to note: time is an important factor in fighting fire. Therefore, the man on spot with some training is more valuable for fighting a fire than the full-time fire brigade that is not on spot. I'll repeat that again. Time is an important factor in fighting fire. Therefore, the man on the spot with some training is more valuable for fighting a fire than the full-time fire brigade that is not on the scene of fire. So that's why we all must be well abreast with the knowledge of firefighting, so that at whatever situation we may be faced with fire incidents, we should be able to know how to deal with it. This is so because prompt intervention will save the situation before the fire develops into an inferno. Okay, so it's important we get the knowledge, all knowledge we can on dealing with fire. Okay, and never you treat fire as there is small fire, there is big fire. No, always ensure that all fire incidences are well managed. Okay, always ensure that all fire incidences are well managed. As fires are not welcome because they disrupt our operation, cost money, and may involve loss of life, more and more attention is being focused on fire prevention in safeguarding not only our production facilities, but also the offices, the workshop, the residential accommodation, and so on. Despite the best efforts of firefighting or fire preventing, fires do occur from time to time. Application of effective and protective measures to control or limit fire damage should therefore form part of our daily operational routine. So irrespective of the fire policies, irrespective of the firefighting services that we have all over the country, we still have fire incidences occurring, not just peculiar to any country. It is a global phenomenon. So whether you're in Europe, in America, in London, in Nigeria, wherever you are, fire incidences occur daily. Okay, fire incidences occur daily. Now, quickly, let's look at the theory of combustion. In the theory of combustion, we're actually going to look at how fire come about, what results to fire. Okay, fire is a combustion process of oxidation characterized by the production of heat, flame, and smoke. What this means is that fire comes up when there is oxygen presence, which prompts the breakdown of fuel, okay, resulting to flame and smoke in the presence of heat. Okay, so if you apply heat to anything called fuel, in this case, I know in Nigeria, when we say fuel, what comes to our mind generally is PMS, okay, premium motorized spirit. That's not really the only fuel we have. That's for motor fuel. We have other fuel, the paper we have in our house, the firewood, the gas we use to cook, the plastics, the textiles, everything that has the ability to burn, okay, is a fuel. Okay, anything that has the ability to burn is a fuel. All right. So when we talk about combustion, there must be oxygen. And let's make it a little simple so that we don't make it as though it's a very a highly scientific work. We have oxygen present in the atmosphere 247. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. Oxygen is generated by plants. So we have over 21% or approximately 21% of volume of air that is in the atmosphere to be of oxygen. So we have a lot of oxygen in the atmosphere. So what that means is that by default, if we try to play with any heat source around any fuel or any material that has the ability to burn, it catches fire naturally because there is an oxygen to promote the heat to forming a combustive process with the fuel. All right. So fire is a combustion, or when you say combustion, burning. Okay. Decomposition by heat, that's combustion. When we have a material decomposed by heat, that is combustion. All right. Okay. So it's a combustion process of oxidation characterized by production of heat, flame, and smoke. Now I have what we call the fire triangle. The fire triangle, for fire to occur, there must be presence of oxygen, enough oxygen to support the combustion. There must be enough heat to raise the temperature of the material to its ignition temperature, and there must be some sort of fuel or combustible material. These three things must be available for fire to occur. In the same way, should we wish to fight fire, we must try to remove one of these things, or at least one of these things or two, from the whole combustion process for us to stop fire. So in a case, for instance, where we have an oil burning, if you stop the flow of oxygen to that oil burning, the fire will go off, right? In a case where we have firewood burning, if you separate the heat source, or if you separate the fuel, rather, if you separate the fuel, which is the firewood, if you separate the firewood from fire, it stops burning. In the case of paper combustion, okay, in the case of paper combustion, if you apply water to it, you cool the heat source, so it goes off. All right, so these three elements must be present for fire to take place. An understanding of these elements will help us see more clearly the role they play in the combustion process. So what is a fuel? A fuel is defined as anything that can burn. It exists in three basic forms, like solid, liquid, or gas. So a fuel can be a solid, like firewood, textiles, paper, charcoal, and any other that has solid nature. Then we have liquid. Example of liquid, we have kerosene, we have oil, we have paint, we have diesel. Okay, all of those things are in liquid form and they can burn. Then we have gas. We have the methane gas we use in the house. We have butyl-acetylene gas. We have the isopropene gas. All of these are gases that can burn. Okay, we also have the ethanol gas, okay, that can also burn. What is heat? Heat is a form of energy and flows from an area of high temperature to an area of low temperature. Heat and temperature is not the same thing and must not be confused. Heat is the energy necessary to increase the temperature of the fuel to point where sufficient vapors are given up for ignition to occur. So heat is an energy, a form of energy. Temperature is the physical measure of heat, just like the way we have sound measured in decibel, distance measured in meter, kilometer, centimeter, or all of that. Temperature, heat is a measure of, perhaps temperature is a measure of the degree of heat available in an environment. Now, oxygen consists about 21% of the total volume of air. It is a great supporter of life and combustion. Most fires draw their oxygen from air. Some materials, however, contain enough oxygen in a form that is liberated adequately to support combustion. So we have some materials that naturally have oxygen in them, and they can support flame with or without exposure to further oxygen. Now, quickly, let's look at the classes of fuel. We have the solid fuels, we have the liquid fuels, we have the gaseous fuels. So examples of the liquid fuels, we have solid fuel, we have wood, paper, furniture, carbonaceous substances like tasers and all of that. Then we have the liquid, we have crude oil, we have PMS or premium meteorite spirit. Then we have the AGO, we have the cooking oil, we have paint, and so on. Then for gaseous substances, we have the liquefied pressurized gas. Then we have the butane, acetylene, we have propane, and we have natural gases. So these are different kinds of gases or different kinds of fuel, and some of the examples associated with them. Solid gases, or solid fuels rather, we have wood, paper, furniture, rubbish, carbonaceous substances like tasers, etc. Liquid, we have crude oil, PMS or premium meteorite spirit, DPK or dual purpose kerosene, AGO, automotive gas oil. Then we have cooking oil, paints, etc. Then we have gaseous fuel like liquefied pressurized gas. We have butane, acetylene, propane, and natural gases. Right. So these are some of the examples we'll find. Then we have the heat sources, examples of heat sources. So we have electricity, we have friction, we have naked wires, we have impact, spontaneous combustion, and cutting or welding. All of these sources can result to heat. Electricity can result to heat. Friction can result to heat. Naked flames, impact, spontaneous combustions, and cutting and welding. All of these can result to heat. And if there are fuels around them, when this lead to heat, it can lead to burning. What are the products of fire? We have smoke, we have fumes, we have gases, including carbon monoxide and isocyanide from burning of wood, and all are very dangerous for the human health. Now, quickly, let's look at methods of fire spread. How does fire spread? Fire basically spread through three approaches. So fire can spread through conduction, fire can spread through conduction, fire can spread through conduction, fire can spread through convection, fire can spread through radiation. So what is conduction? Conduction is the travel of heat via the molecular structure of an object. It can spread fire via metal joists, concrete block work in a building, giving rise to secondary fires away from the first fire. Then we have a convection, which is spread of heat upward above a fire. It is the travel of hot gases to ceiling level, then it will mushroom down the walls. Then we have radiation. Radiated heat is the only form of heat that travels through a vacuum. It is similar to infrared and sound waves. In a simple example, when we hear of conduction, anytime you have a solid substance transferring heat from one point to another, that is regarded as conduction. So conduction basically happens through solid substances. Convection happens mostly through liquid substances. So for instance, when you're boiling your water, and you place your hand over the kettle or over the pot you're using to boil the water, you feel the hot sensation even without touching the without touching the water. Sometimes you have your gas in your kitchen. You are not, the gas is not burning you, but somehow the molecules, the liquid molecules keep evaporating from what you're boiling, and as they evaporate, they condense over in the environment and then produce heat. That's an example of convection. Then you have radiation. Radiation is heated waves. While conduction is more of true liquids, radiation is more of true gases. Okay, radiation is more of true gases and waves. Okay, waves. All right. So like those days, they taught us in primary school that the heat of the sun gets to the earth through radiation. So it travels through a vacuum and gets to us. And the vacuum in this case is the atmosphere. Now, what are the reasons for fire spread? What leads to fire spread? We have delayed discovery. When there is delayed discovery of fire hazards, it can lead to fire outbreak. That means we must always do fire hazard analysis in our workplaces to identify possible fire hazards and then put them in order. The same thing applies to our homes. We need to carry out fire hazard analysis to ensure that we have all the fire hazards identified and then controlled. Then we have large inventory of combustibles. Some of us have large inventory of combustibles. We have seen this most often, and there have been serious cases of this happening. You have situations where people buy fuel, like the PMS, they buy the premium motorized spirit. If you ask, they say fuel is about to go up, the price is about to go up. So they buy large quantities and come and store in their houses. Then you also see cases where there is a tanker fall. You see people going and packing all those things. Where are they going to keep it? They are going to keep it in their houses. And there have been several cases of fire outbreaks because of large storage of combustibles in the house or around residential buildings or commercial buildings. So we need to be very much careful. Okay, we need to be very much careful. They have lack of fire resisting structures. Okay, that will also result to fire outbreak. They have openings in the floors and walls, which can lead to transference of heat or transference of fire from one position to another. Where there are openings, there is fire in flat A, and there is an opening between A and B. There could be a transfer of fire from the opening from where there is fire to where there is no fire. Then we have the rate burning of dust deposits. We have to be very careful with burning of the rate burning of dust deposits. Okay, some of us are very conversant with using candle to burn cobweb in our houses. We need to be very careful with those things. Okay, we need to be very careful with those things. Then flowing oils, fats, and hydrocarbons, the combustible shinings and fabrics, all of these can cause fire. Now, what are the causes of fire? We have the industrial causes of fire. And the industrial causes of fire could be from carelessness of workers, carelessness of management, carelessness of all in the workplace. Then we have electricity, accumulation of refuse and rubbish in work, then or in the storage areas. They will have smoking, heaters, hazardous goods, spontaneous ignitions, fire that you don't know the source, or heat sources that you don't know their source. All of a sudden, fire will spring up. Then you have leaking fuel hoses in vehicle engine housing, then leaking gas valves and explosions, then faulty machineries. All of these can lead to industrial fire. Then we have the natural causes of fire, like thunder and lightning, hurricane and wild wind, earthquake, volcanic eruption, and all of that. Now, those days we were growing up, for me personally, those days we were growing up, we always had these cases of a house that was burned down by thunder and lightning. a tree that was burned down by thunder and lightning and all of that. Those kind of things, they are no longer too much now. You can barely hear about thunder and lightning causing anything now. I mean, in my own place. But those days, it was terrible. Okay, you will see thunder bring down the whole tree. You see thunder burn down a whole house. But those things are no longer getting much rampant as it were those days. So natural causes as thunder and lightning can be very, very hazardous. Okay, maybe because there has been a whole lot of thunder protection equipment being put in houses now, so maybe the effects are being reduced. Okay, the effects are being reduced. Okay, so we have hurricane and wind also, earthquake and volcanic eruptions. Then we have intentional acts that result to fire. Intentional acts that result to fire. Some of the intentional acts that result to fire will have the political unrest, we have bank fraud, we have insurance claim, grievances at work. All of these could be intentional ways of creating fire. Okay, they could be intentional ways of creating fire. All right. I know we are on an international scene, so there are some things we would not like to talk about here. Okay, but we've heard of cases where there are high-level probing going on, maybe in a particular ministry, and all of a sudden we just said a fire engulfed that ministry. Okay, or a parastatal high-level probing and account auditing. All of a sudden, there is not that place fire will go. Fire will just go to that place and set the place ablaze. Okay, it happens severally in across the globe. Okay, but from where I am, I think I've seen it personally. It happens. Okay, then we'll have people setting political unrest. People naturally set fire on things. Okay, civil or civic unrest, political unrest, insecurity, and all of that. So they can result to fire. I think in Nigeria, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, we've had cases of civic unrest, political unrest, where almost the whole state is going down. Fire out. This one is not fire outbreak by accident. This one is fire outbreak by someone consciously putting fire, setting fire on buildings, on government houses, and all of that. Okay. So all of those things can result to fire. Okay, they can result to fire. Then common causes of domestic fire. Common causes of domestic fire. The ones that happen, we have children playing with matches, overheated oils and fats, unsafe use of candles at home, smoking on bed, storage of leaking gas cylinders at home, dual usage of one container for petrol and kerosene. Please, we have to be very careful on this. I know most of us don't really use kerosene and fuels again, but there were conditions those days. I remember a situation where my friend went and bought kerosene with a diesel container. They searched, we were still in primary school then. So he searched for the kerosene container. He didn't find it. So he found diesel. He just took diesel, went to the filling station and bought kerosene inside or with a diesel container. They came back, poured the kerosene into the stove and started cooking. We were all seated and we had a very good sound, loud sound. They rushed to the kitchen to find out what was happening. Lo and behold, the pot of rice they were cooking had scattered in the kitchen. What happened? The stove exploded. It was at that moment that they started asking what happened. And it was at that moment they realized that it was because of the combination. They used a a container for diesel, or that had originally been used to buy diesel to buy kerosene as well. So we have to be very careful with such things. They can lead to fire outbreak. They will have power surge or fluctuations, refueling of generator set while it is still running, the electrical electronic appliance left on after power outage, then unattended cooking gas or stove, radiated heat, all of this can result to fire outbreak. So let's pay attention to all of these things. Then hoarding of fuel at home. I think I've mentioned about that, hoarding of fuel at home. While I was in secondary school, a man went and bought about 50 liters and went to store it in his uncompleted building. The uncompleted building was less than, it was less than 200, no, it was less than, it was less than 1 kilometer, very, very less than 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer is too far now. It was less than 200 meters from his main building, the one he was living. He bought it with the mindset that fuel was going to go up. Everybody was shouting fuel. So he went and bought it in large quantity, hoping that when fuel goes up, he will now bring it out to sell. The truth is, that same night, whether it was someone that went and set the place ablaze or the thing caught fire by itself, till date, nobody knows. But the fire brought down the building that they were building and entered the house where they were staying and brought everything down. So they became homeless overnight because of what? Hoarding of fuel at home. So we need to be very careful with all of that. If you're not buying, or if you're buying any fuel you're not using, please make sure they are stored appropriately. In fact, it's not even advisable to store fuel at home. Okay, if you're buying fuel, put it where it's supposed to be. It's either in the car, in your generator, or wherever it has to be. Okay, so it's important we take notice of all of these things. Then poor housekeeping also can lead to fire outbreak. Now quickly, let's look at the classes of fire. Classes of fire. We have class A, solids, fires involving solids and free burning materials, usually of an organic nature. Example, wood, paper, tesserae, furniture, etc. They are domestic in nature. They generally leave an ash. Then we have class B, which are liquids, fires involving flammable liquids or liquefiable substances. Example, the premium-motorized spirit, the dual-purpose kerosene. Then we have the automotive gas oil, cooking oil, wax, paint, spirits, varnishes, and all of that. Then we have class C, which emanate from gases. So fires involving flammable gases, e.g., liquefied pressurized gas, propane gas, natural gases, acetylene gas, and so on. Then we have classless fire. Classless fire. Fires involving electrical or energized equipment. Electricity is not considered a class of fire because it is a source of energy and leads to other classes of fire. So electricity on its own is not fire, but it is a source of heat that can cause any fuel around it to burn. All right. There is also another class of fire that is not captured here. We call it class D fire, and that is a fire that has to do with special metals. Fire caused by special metals or special elements. Example, fire, magnesium fire, potassium fire, ferrod fire, and all of that. Those are fire that are caused by special metals. They are classified under D. Okay, class D fire, which are special fire caused by special substances. Then we have caution. Never use water on live electrical equipment on fire. Shock or electrocution may occur. 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 as water is a good conductor of electricity. Now, please, when we say water is a good conductor of electricity, please note it is not the pure water. Any water that conducts electricity simply means that it has some ions in them that are transferring or communicating the current. Pure water on its own, a water that has a dielectric of 1, regarded as pure, no content inside it, no mineral element and all of that. That water does not really conduct electricity. But for water that has mineral elements in them, and virtually all the water we have, we drink, we use, including the one we call pure water, they have mineral elements like magnesium, they have mineral elements like calcium, they have other mineral elements which have the potency to transmit electric current. Okay, so to avoid electrocution, please do not use water on live electricity. Methods of fire extinction. We have the starvation, which is removal or limitation of fuel supply to fire. Example, isolating gas supply to a burning cooker. That is starvation. When you remove fuel from fire, it's called starvation. When you stop the supply of gas to a gas cooker, that is starvation. Automatically the fire will go off. When you remove firewood from a burning fire, automatically the fire will start going down. So whenever you remove the fuel inside a fire, the fire starts going, and that process is called starvation. Then we have smoldering. This refers to the cutting of oxygen supply to a fire. Example, use of fire blanket or a cover lid on a frying pan on fire. Most of us do this quite a lot. If your frying pan catches fire, you cover it with a lid, and by blocking off the oxygen, the fire dies off. Then you put off the heat source and the whole place gets to be calm. All right. Then we have cooling, which is the application of water. So it refers to the reduction of heat below ignition temperature, achievable mainly by water application. So starvation is removal of fuel, smoldering is removal of oxygen, and cooling is the application of water. Starvation is removal of fuel, smoldering is the removal of oxygen, and cooling is the application of water to fire. Now, quickly, let's look at the extinguishers color coding. Let's look at the old convention, and then we'll look at what we have. Now, colors have been allocated for all portable fire extinguishers for ease of identification. Carbon monoxide is conventionally colored black. So when you see a gas cylinder, fire extinguisher cylinder that is black, by default is meant to be carbon monoxide, but we'll still find out whether it's carbon monoxide as we proceed. Then we have the dry chemical powder or DCP, which is blue, foam, which is cream, and water, which is red, pressurized water, which is red. Now, in the new convention, it mustn't necessarily be black container all through. It can be a use of black ribbon, blue ribbon, cream colored ribbon, and then a red ribbon. So if you have a case where you have a black container, but the ribbon is blue, then it could be telling you something. It means that you have to pay attention to the label. Pay attention to the label of that extinguisher so that you don't misinterpret the coloring. Okay, so that's very, very important. If you see red on black, or sorry, black on red, black ribbon on red container, it could mean a CO2. But also ensure to read the labels very well to be sure of what it is before use. Okay, all right. So under the new convention, all fire extinguishers are colored red, but they still carry the color, the old colors as a band to indicate their content. Storage of fire extinguishers. To be efficient, fire extinguishers must sit on a hook 1.5 meters from ground level. be accessible and visible, have a seal, a pictograph, and a checking sticker. Now, methods of extinguishing the classes of fire. For class A fire, we apply cooling, cooling by application of water, smothering by application of foam. So we can quench class A fire by application of water. We can quench class A fire by smothering by application of foam. Then class B fire, we can starve by cutting off the fuel supply, and we can smother by the application of suitable cover or use of foam. Then for class C fire, we can starve by cutting off the fuel and or allow to burn out or allow proper ventilation. Then for classless fire, which is electrical fire, we switch off the power source and then deal with the material on fire. So I have a class or a table here to categorize the classes and what element will be used in fighting them, what extinguishing element will be used in fighting them. So for water, we can use water on class A fire and the effect will be cooling. For foam, as extinguishing agent, it can be used on class A and B fire and the effect will be cooling and smothering respectively. Therefore, carbon dioxide, we can use it on C, which is the gaseous fire, and the effect will be smothering. Dry chemical powder, which is called the general purpose extinguisher, it can be used on A, B, or C, and the effect will be cooling, smothering, or starvation as it applies to A, B, and C. Now, quickly, let's look at emergency response evacuation or evacuation procedure for case of fire outbreak. On noticing fire, raise an alarm by shouting as it were. You raise the alarm, fire, 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 but you're not going to say it as I'm saying it. You raise the alarm. You don't speak the alarm. You raise the alarm. That means your voice will be loud. Activate the fire alarm call point by pressing the button. If you have a fire alarm in your workstation, in your house where the incident is taking place, please activate the fire alarm. Okay, then call the fire service on available telephone number. I think in Nigeria we have 112. We have 112 and we have the 112 and 121. Okay, we have the one that NCC is sending to us now. So the one that is applicable to you, I know I'll be receiving the okay for fire incidences, emergency situations, and any emergency situation in Nigeria, you call 112, 112, 112. So if you have fire incidents, please pick your phone. Is a toll-free number and call 112. All right. I don't know what the number could be in your own country, but please find out what it is. In Nigeria, it is 112. Give your location and location of fire, raise the alarm, select the suitable fire extinguisher close to you, and try it before going to the fire. Then check wind direction. Use the wind to protect yourself. Fight fire at flame base. Do not waste fire extinguisher. Never turn back after extinguishing the fire. Make sure the whole place is cooled off with water before you can go. On hearing the fire alarm, leave the building through exit or emergency exit route. Do not go for luggage or personal belongings. Shut the door behind you. Do not lock it. Be calm and do not panic. Do not use the lift. Use the staircase. Assemble at the mustard point for instruction and roll call. Do not re-enter the building until the emergency is declared over. For some of us that work in high-rise buildings, please, in case of fire emergency, there is most of the buildings, they make provision at the top of the building where they will use a helicopter or use another approach to bring you down. But I don't know whether that is applicable in Nigeria. But in case of fire outbreak in a high rise, there must be fire emergency procedures that the building managers will provide. So please, let's always read through fire emergency procedures in our companies. For those of us in Lagos that have 25-story building we are working on, in Abuja we have 10-story building, 15-story building, 20-story building. Please, let's pay attention to fire emergency response. Let's read through very carefully, okay, and be sure. Now that fire, nobody can say exactly where it can come from. We've heard of fire incidences at NFF headquarters in Nigeria. We've heard of fire incidences at Ministry of Finance. We've heard of fire incidences at which other one? NTA offices. So fire outbreak can be at anywhere. So let's read through the fire incidents guide so that we can be well covered. Fire prevention tips. Fire detection, warn, and evacuation systems, routes, and procedures must be carefully designed and maintained. All staff should be trained in fire procedures and other people should be briefed. Escape routes must be kept clear and be properly signposted. Everyone who uses a workplace should be trained on what to do in case of a fire explosion or other emergencies. Notices should be displayed as strategic points to give guidance on what to do in case of fire. How to use the fire extinguisher. If you have a fire extinguisher in your car, in your house, in your office, when you get close to it, you will see this on the lab, on the caution, on the instruction, you see this acronym PASS. Okay, you see this acronym PASS. The acronym PASS means the same thing, whether it is the one in your car, the one in your office, or wherever. And the PASS means pull the pin. Every extinguisher has a pin, okay? An iron pin. Every extinguisher has the pin. Then aim the extinguisher nozzle at the base of the flame. Squeeze trigger while holding the extinguisher upright. Sweep the extinguisher from side to side, covering the area of the fire with extinguishing agent. Note, the first thing you do is remove the pin, then aim the extinguisher, aim it at the flame base, not at the top of the flame, at the base of the flame, at the root of the flame. That's where you're going to be focusing on. Then squeeze the trigger and make sure that you're holding your extinguisher upright towards the base of the flame. Then sweep as you open up the trigger, okay? And please, I want to make a recommendation here. I want to make a recommendation. Let me ask before I make this recommendation. For all of us that have cars here, between how many of us here have our extinguishers that we've not used for the past 1 year? You have a car that you've not used the extinguisher for the past 1 year. Can you type 11 in the chat room? You have, okay, type 00 so that I can differentiate between this 11. You have an extinguisher in your car, in your office, in your anywhere that for the past 1 year you've not used the extinguisher and you've not bothered checking whether the extinguisher is live or dead. Please be objective. Let's have your 00 in the chat room. You have an extinguisher that you've not bothered to check for the past 1 year. Maybe for some of us, you just bought the extinguisher to avoid road safety disturbing you. Just type 00 in the chat room. Okay, so we have 2 people, 3 people. Okay. And I'm sure there could be quite a number of other people who have such cases. The first time I bought extinguisher in my car, I bought extinguisher for purpose of road safety. Yes, I just bought it because I didn't want road safety to disturb me. Okay, some of us even put extinguishers that we know that they are not working. We just put, we know that this extinguisher is not working, no, but you still put it there. If road safety get to you by the road, you ask road safety, are you the one that produced it? You have extinguisher, you didn't know that it was not working. Some of us actually think we are smart, but we're actually creating unsafe conditions that can result to accident. Okay, after safety considerations, I had to go and buy extinguisher. I removed the one from my car, not that there was no one. I went and removed it and changed it. And now I have a policy that every 6 months, I have to change that extinguisher because The extinguisher has a expiring date. And please be careful with all these people on the road, and all these people will buy these extinguishers from. They will tell you this one will stay 4 years before you do. That is not true. Okay, the strength of the extinguisher within 3 to 6 months it start going down. So you need to change it. And with 2000, 2005, 3000, you have changed your extinguisher and you've saved your life. It is called, it's part of insurance. Whether there is going to be fire or there is not going to be fire, please get to have an extinguisher, functional extinguisher in your office. Get to have functional extinguisher in your car, primarily your car. Okay, don't just put extinguisher for the purpose of road safety, because the day it will happen, fire may engulf and road safety might not be there, and you just find that you've been deceiving yourself, or we all have been deceiving ourselves all this while. So let's pay attention to healthy safety practices. Healthy safety practices. Okay, healthy safety practices. Let me even ask now that I'm coming to this area. If you drive your car with your seat belt on, always, like as you're turning on the ignition, you're putting your seat belt. If you drive your car with your seat belt always on, type 22 in the chat room. Let's see, you have how many people in this class? We have 27 people in this class. So let's see how many people that are actually safety conscious. Say charity begins at home. Oh yeah, let's see you. Before you drive your car, you put on your seat belt. Consciously, you do that. Okay, you do it always. If you don't do it always, type 21. Sometimes it escapes your mind. So you drive like 3 kilometers and then you remember, you type 21. But you do it as you're starting the car, you do it, whether they are driving you or you are the one driving, you do it. Put 22 in the chat room, or put 21 where you forget sometimes. I'm expecting we have about 25 or 26 people in this class. Please, I need your feedback. I need your feedback. Okay, so we are good safety people. We perform safe practices in driving our cars. That's good. Well done work. And I tell you the truth, as simple as those things we do are, they save lives and they save us from imminent dangers. All right. So I would still encourage you, make sure you always do that. That is part of safety. So keep doing it. And please, if your extinguisher has stayed 6 months and is getting to 1 year, please go and change it. 2005, yes, is good money, but please go and change your extinguisher. For some of us that are directors, that you will say, I'm not the one that's supposed to change the extinguisher, it's government. When that car catch fire, it's you that will burn. No, government will just, they will not even bother. They will change you. The next day, somebody will enter your office. So whether you're a director, whether you're a supervisor, provided you have car, whether you're the one that bought it or you're not the one that bought it, but you're the one using it, please go and check the expiration date of your extinguisher. If it has expired, please go and change it. Don't put extinguisher for road safety crossing. No. Thank you. How to use fire extinguishers. Remember, should your part of escape be threatened, should the extinguisher run out of agent, should the extinguisher prove to be able to safely fight the fire, then leave the area immediately. Okay, so we are going to answer these questions just from the screen. So all we need you to do is to answer true or false from the chat room. So be typing true or false as the answers in the chat room. Fire requires fuel, oxygen, and heat for ignition to occur. Taking anyone away and the fire cannot occur. True or false? Fire requires fuel, oxygen, and heat for ignition to occur. Taking anyone away and the fire cannot occur. True or false? Okay, so I have true in the chat room. Okay, so the answer is true. Then the second question is, Fire needs an atmosphere of 21% oxygen, the same as the air we breathe to sustain ignition. True or false? Fire needs an ignition or needs an atmosphere of 21% oxygen, the same as the air we breathe to sustain ignition. True or false? Let's have your answer in the chat room. Okay, so we have false, true, true, false, false, true, true, false. Okay, so we'll find the answers as we proceed. So at least we'll have false, true in this case. Number 3, Class A fire or Class A fires are fueled by ordinary combustible or fibrous materials such as wood, paper, cloth, and some plastics. True or false? Okay, so I think you would do me a favor for the one you would answer it, like you say 3 true or 1 true, 2 false, 3 true. So you type the number and then type whether it's true or false. Please, can we do that very fast so that we all have the answers? So 3 true. Okay. Another person said 3 true. So let's have the answer. 1 true, 3 true. Okay. So somebody said 1 true, 2 false, 3 true, 2 false, 1 true. Okay. 1 true, 2 false, 3 true. Okay. 2 false. Okay. 3 true. Okay, so we have number 4. Class B fires include flammable or combustible liquids, greases, and gases such as gasoline, paint, and propane. True or false? Class B fires include flammable or combustible liquids such as greases and gases. Sorry, Class B fire include flammable or combustible liquid, greases, and gases such as gasoline, paint, and propylene. True or false? Class B. Class B. Okay. Then question number 5. Somebody said false in question number 4. 2 people said false. A good number of people said true. Okay, so we'll come back to it. Keeping the work area free of litter is one way to help prevent Class A fires. True or false? Please remember to type the number before you give your answer. Keeping the work area free of litter is one way to help prevent Class A fire. True or false? Question number 6. Gasoline-powered equipment can be refueled while hot if refueling is done in a well-ventilated area. True or false? Question number 6. Gasoline-powered equipment can be refueled while hot if refueling is done in a well-ventilated area. True or false? Okay. Question number 7. You may use a higher amp fuse than is specified for an electrical circuit if you first start the fuse box to mark the change. Now listen, you may use a higher amp fuse than is specified for an electrical circuit if you first tag the fuse box to mark the change. True or false? Question number 7, 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 true or false? Okay, then we have question number 8. Unusual odors from electrical equipment can be the first sign of a potential fire. Unusual odors from an electrical equipment can be the first sign of potential fire. True or false? Question number 8, 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 true or false? Okay. Okay. Now, the first magic ever I'm going to do is going to be done now. This is the end of today's class. This is the end of today's section. But you know you have to mark your attendance. Now, for the first time, we are going to